There's a lot of bad Bitcoin mining news that we've got to break down today. And whether you mine Bitcoin or just like crypto, or you invest in Bitcoin, or what the fuck ever, all of this stuff heavily applies to you. So don't think this is a video just for Bitcoin miners. This is much bigger than that, and the impacts that this subsector of the crypto industry has will ripple through the rest of the sector. My name is Vosk. You're on the Voskcoin YouTube channel. It's going to be another scorcher, and that's just the way it goes with these market conditions right now. As always, it's not financial advice. So let's talk about it. Compass Mining CEO and CFO resigned. Compass Mining, it was basically became the middleman for helping people start mining Bitcoin. They connected average retail miners and some big clients to big industrial scale mining farms and get you co-located, get you some miners, and get you mining some BTC. But nothing looks too good when just after a couple years of creation to now, the CEO and CFO have resigned. This includes Whit Gibbs, who is basically the face of Compass, and if you ever saw them on any podcasts or whatever, he was the one there being interviewed, talking, everything like that. Now Compass says that it's focused on regaining the goodwill of its stakeholders and community through restructuring. The Compass Mining Board of Directors has appointed a few new officers here, namely Thomas Heller, who is formerly with F2 Pool, but has been on board with Compass and formerly Hashrate in this journey here. A lot of this comes on the heels of this drama of Bitcoin miner Compass denying the allegations of unpaid power bills to Dynamics. Dynamics took to social media on Sunday with claims that Compass Mining owed hundreds of thousands of dollars. Compass Mining issued a formal denial about this recently. Dynamics posted that of the 1.2 million in agreed initial power deposits, only two separate payments of $415,000 and $250,000 had been made. They took it even further, saying that Compass was using these funds to expand facilities. Compass, however, claims it performed all of its obligations under its contracts, including financial obligations, and apparently Dynamics misunderstood the contracts that they signed. One of the key takeaways of this is, to be clear, Compass has made and will continue to make reasonable attempts to resolve this matter privately, quote, right? The company wrote in its blog post, nevertheless, Compass firmly believes that the lawsuit it has filed, including its request for expedited relief to protect its interests and interests of its customers, is a proper form to resolve any disputes, and the court will vindicate Compass's position. So that's one thing about Compass and Hashrate, and a very interesting and just kind of dark beginning. Some people say hostile takeover. I wasn't there. The people I asked wouldn't speak fully on it, but what I've heard, for what it's worth, is that they've gone the legal route before and just really twisted it to be for the advantage of some and the severe disadvantage of others. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. But there's another issue that you may not be familiar with regarding to Compass, and that would be the whole mining in Russia debacle. There's two screenshots that on this Reddit post that really do sum this up well, and this may be the key interaction why Whit Gibbs is no longer with the company that he basically spearheaded. So basically, a couple months ago, Whit Gibbs said on their Compass Discord server, which has now been closed, which that created a whole nother FUD drama, and kind of rightfully so. At the time, business as usual. There's no reason to be worried. Monitoring closely how sanctions could impact mining, but it doesn't seem to impact them whatsoever. If you'd like to cancel your hosting contract and have your machines redirected, they can do that. At this time, no cause for concern. The Russian hosting partner is also on the Russian government's crypto working committee. If the situation changes, Compass will take swift action to move all machines out of Russia immediately, but at this time, drastic action is not needed. Basically, this blew up in his face, in Compass's face, and they backed off big time, and customers were left in a really bad spot. Then there's this. You could have hosted in another country. You chose Russia. Take some personal responsibility. I also want to take some personal responsibility to say that I never advocated hosting your machines in Russia. To put it simply, they play by different games. If you ever co-locate Bitcoin mining rigs, they should absolutely be in the United States of America, where there are, relatively fair rules and accountability here. We've talked about Compass many times over the last year because they were our major miner supporter. Yes, they did previously sponsor the Voskcoin YouTube channel. That is another bit of an elephant in the room. And to be honest, I was really excited to see Compass push forward. I was really excited to see them launch their at-home mining and start shipping miners directly to individuals, opening up a new business in the United States that buys Bitcoin miners in bulk and ships them out to residential or otherwise Bitcoin miners. That is what I have been the biggest advocate of, and if you were too lazy to set up your own Bitcoin mining farm and chose to co-locate, then it seemed to be a good option considering they did work with some major partners like Core Scientific. We toured Core Scientific mining farm, actually multiple farms of theirs, and their operation's pretty serious, it's pretty robust. But it seems that Compass may have gotten greedy over the course of the bull run and started moving on from major co-location providers like Core Scientific to smaller operations and also outsourcing, finding miner rack space in Russia, for example. This would have been more available. This would have been cheaper. This would open up just potential profits, even just from capitalizing on the electricity spread, which is basically what their business model is, marking up miners and reselling them, as well as capitalizing on electric spread. Let's say the farm pays a 6-cent all-in electric bill. They sell it to you for an 8-cent rate. It's still cheaper than your residential electric rate, but they're making 2 cents per kilowatt hour that you basically end up using there. I'm not advocating for it, against it, whatever. But yeah, basically that's a situation. I'm not here to FUD them. I am hopeful that Compass will recover and do well long term. I don't want to see them fail. They're a US based business all around Bitcoin mining and increasing availability and accessibility for Bitcoin miners, potential Bitcoin miners, and just growing Bitcoin mining as a whole. I don't think that co-locating all your miners leads to a bunch of decentralization. But I do think that it can open the door and kind of serve as, for lack of a better term, maybe a gateway drug to get into mining and seeing how fun and exciting and oftentimes lucrative it can be. But if your miners basically get lost and taken in Russia, well, then you lose it all, and that's one of the worst things to happen. Russia is very infamous in this era, but there's a bit of good news coming out of the Russian central bank, who claims to be okay with crypto mining under one condition. So Kirill Pronin here, head of a Russian central bank CBR, Department of Financial Technology, acknowledged the possibility of crypto mining legalization under certain conditions. A public acknowledgement like this marks a rare case, or makes a rare case. Quoting, "Despite the fact that we are speaking consistently for the prohibition of cryptocurrencies turnover, the discussion regarding mining's legalization is possible. However, ultimately, he says that they must make sure there's an export of these mining services, and the mining business shouldn't lead to accumulation of cryptocurrency in the country, so there won't be motivation for further usage in internal payments." It's not all that great, but it's more positive than you would probably expect. Fresh draft of the law on mining in the Russian Federation, the latest version spares the mining operators from the obligation to register as a special registry and sweeps away the earlier proposed one-year tax amnesty. But bad can quickly get to worse in a crypto Bitcoin bear market. Okay, crypto miners face margin calls, defaults as debt comes due in bear market. Private and publicly listed crypto miners up to $4 billion in debt used to finance the construction of gargantuan facilities across North America. The private and publicly listed crypto miners have racked up debts anywhere between $2 to $4 billion to finance the construction of their massive mining farms, some of which we tour. And honestly, it's very interesting, intriguing. You should check out those videos if Bitcoin mining interests you simply at all. And why is Binance USD on the ticker? Who did this? Yeah, the stable coin is still being stable. Is that the news these days? I should hope so, but obviously I know USD, not quite the most stable coin. But the point here, as the value of the miner's output dramatically falls, along with the price of Bitcoin, they may have to make tough decisions on how to survive, selling off hard-earned Bitcoins and equipment. Painful but necessary, Alex Martini, CEO of mining hosting firm Blockfusion, told CoinDesk regarding the selling of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin reserves to service the firm's debt. Now, Blockfusion has a cash reserve to last about 6 months. But if the market doesn't turn, the company will be forced to do another round of liquidations. Blockfusion is far from alone in this predicament, with the Bitcoin price at its lowest level since 2020. Global processing power in the network, or hash rate, near all-time highs, and energy prices climbing, miners' profit margins are shrinking. Older machines are becoming unprofitable and turned off. The hash rate decreased by 11% between June 12th and 27th per blockchain.com data. Miners, once steadfast on their HODL strategy, holding Bitcoin rather than selling, right, are now being forced to liquidate their crypto holdings to pay for operating costs and loan installments. This is why I've talked so many times about mining in a bull run when times are good and like these numbers are ridiculous. Like, you know, whether it's Bitcoin or other things, if you're mining a ton of USD per day, something that just kind of seems unsustainable, like KDA miners that are pulling $50 a day, you cash that every day, bro. It's not financial advice, obviously, right? And I simply work for the cutest doge in the world, and that's going to be Tails, the coolest miner around. My point is, when times are good, you take profits, you build up cash reserves, and then you can persevere through any market conditions. Sure, saying I stack all my Bitcoin sounds great, but guess what? Your electric company doesn't give a about your Bitcoin. They want your USD or other fiat currency. And if you don't pay up, then you're going to be forced to dump in bad market conditions. Right now, Bitcoin's trading in the $18,000 range, right? Just barely at the time of recording this, as you see right there, but it still is trading right there. All of these mining farms that are major were here at the peak of the Bitcoin bull run. You could have been taking profits with Bitcoins being worth $60,000 or more. 3 times the value, which means you could sell way less and get some serious cash reserves. Everybody should be operating with at least 2 years of cash reserves to be able to truly weather a crypto winter. The good news, though, is that miners that use the latest machines have low electricity rates, right? Keep an overall cost of mining a Bitcoin below $10,000. They can still meet ends meet and fulfill their loan obligations. Per Brian Wright of Galaxy Digital, CoinShares investment analyst Alexander Schmidt told CoinDesk that the majority of listed miners are still profitable even with the price of Bitcoin around $20,000. Core Scientific, we already talked about a little bit, most of their debt actually doesn't even mature until 2024, 2025. You know, things could be a lot better or worse by then. Looking at their debt to capital ratios, though, Core Scientific and Marathon have the highest debt to capital ratios. I will say that Greenidge is also tied with them, but their total debt number is significantly more. The thing to think about is what these mining farms are paying in price per terahash, which is the mining metric for mining Bitcoin, like horsepower for a car. At the height of the market, when Bitcoin was over $60,000, companies were purchasing miners at $90, $100 a terahash. Okay, this adds up to $10,000 per machine. The larger price tag means the loan amount was higher, and that means the monthly payments are higher. Yeah, basic math there, let's get it. The New York-based lender signed off on a $70 million loan for Argo blockchain in March and a $37 million credit line for Bitfarms just on June 14th. Along with the loan, Bitfarms said it was selling off 1,500 BTC. Just a week later, it sold another 1,500 BTC to pay off its other debt from Galaxy. And just what exactly is 1,500 BTC in dollars? I'm glad you asked. Okay, so we pay attention to decimal points here. 3, 6, that is going to be almost, probably when they sold, $29 million. And then they will sell $29 more million. And that is $29 million of additional sell pressure. This sell pressure pushes things down. It drags it down. What people don't realize sometimes is mining farms can't just, always hodl, and they can't always buy the dip, and they can't always just, wait. The electric bills do not wait. Okay? which oftentimes if they do not, basically sell and build up big cash reserves at the right times, they sell at the bottom because they have to. They are forced to sell. Per this article headline, Bitcoin miners stop hodling. They start selling as crypto crashes and energy costs rise. Just taking one example with Bitmain and their official web shop here, this same miner just a few months ago was $7-8 grand. Several months ago, $10,000, $11,000. Price per terahash, right now, this thing off the shelf, right? So this isn't a bulk deal. This is just a la carte, one miner off the shelf, no connection, no bulk, no nothing. $54 a terahash. This one's as cheap as $42, but it is less efficient, right? Then we have the S9 XP. It's $83 a terahash, but it consumes less power than this device, the Bitmain Antminer S19, right? It consumes less power and mines, will round up, right? Almost 50% more. But because of that efficiency, and keep in mind that futures order date, it definitely carries a premium price tag. Samsung is beginning production of 3nm chips, which could be used for mining Bitcoin, per this report. So reportedly, Samsung is in trial production stage for 3nm foundry processing, which could be used for mining Bitcoin. First customer will be Pan Semi, a Chinese ASIC manufacturer, and Qualcomm may take part in the future. 3nm foundry processing can enable chips to have reduced power consumption, increased speeds, and higher quantities of transistors. Samsung will reportedly start trial production this week of 3nm chips for ASICs, the most efficient machines for mining Bitcoin. But an ASIC is a chip, and ASIC miners simply utilize ASIC chips, but there's ASICs in many different devices. ASICs are in actually most devices. They're just really purpose-built chips. There's a big difference between an ASIC and a mining ASIC chip, or simply an ASIC miner, which is commonly just referred to as an ASIC in the crypto sector. We look into Pan Semi, right, and publicly available information is really just this article regurgitated and regurgitated and regurgitated. So we'll just kind of touch on that note and move forward. Good news though, Uzbekistan warms up to Bitcoin mining. But there's a catch. The executive order spares all the mine assets from taxation, but this is crazy, right? Bans mining anonymous currencies. Think about that. Think about how that threatens them, that scares them. And this is also showing how afraid not, channeling my inner Yoda there, they are of Bitcoin. It would only allow companies that use solar energy to mine Bitcoin as well, or other cryptocurrencies. Mining is being carried out by only the legal entity with the use of electric energy provided by a solar power plant. This angle is one of the many reasons why I'm building out a solar mining farm. All the go green, good stuff, this, that, whatever, and being able to try to build out some scale myself, all that shit aside, okay? One of the future potential crackdowns will be anyone mining cryptocurrency using dirty energy, right? If you're providing green energy that you're producing yourself, you tell the government to f*** off. If you want one of the blindlessly bullish articles I was able to find, well, I'm glad you're still watching. Bitcoin miners may trigger an altcoin season, but we're not there yet. Okay, crypto market's looking for the prolonged alt season, right? But heavy economic pressure on Bitcoin miners could change that. Just 15 of the top 50 cryptocurrencies by market value have outperformed Bitcoin over the past 90 days, indicating, per this metric, that we are far from the much-loved altcoin season. Wake up, Jeremy. We may not get another alt season right now. We're looking bearish. We're looking okay? Just because Bitcoin's down doesn't mean we're gonna just go ahead and mega pump everything else. Do you understand that Ethereum alone is down 79% from its all-time high 8 months ago? I think we were just entering crypto winter. Look, all I'm saying is don't listen to Jeff over there. I don't know if we get an alt season anytime soon. I hope so, but I don't think so. Here's another piece of bad news, because that's all we got today. Argentina's customs office seizes $21 million in crypto mining equipment. This case involves 2,233 What's miners, because we couldn't think of a better name than What's miner. What's his name? Machines that were improperly imported per the government. Argentina's custom office seized these miners Apparently they were invoiced at 5 million more than their actual value. The machines were valued for 10,000 each, but were actually worth $6,000 to $8,000 per this report. I can see the discrepancy. Depending when these were ordered, I bet they could be sold for $10,000. Maybe they were trying to get a little bit more, and somewhere was like, actually, look, we sold them for this, so that's what they're worth. And they tried to claim fair market value, not what they actually paid, and a corrupt government took that as an opportunity to just eat up those miners. All I'm saying is I wouldn't want to be them. Also, all I'm saying is I wouldn't want to be the person that doesn't subscribe to the Voskcoin YouTube channel, getting the best videos in the world. At least the best ones I can create, because I'm the guy on the videos. So I hope you enjoyed the video, running through all this stuff. I'm not trying to come off super negative or FUD or all that stuff. I mean, this is just what's going on, running through the details, the data, talking about it, how this can impact us moving forward, everything like that. For me personally, short-term bearish, long-term bullish. Bitcoin still is awesome as ever, but the global market conditions are bad. That will heavily drag down everything. Inflation's record high. Everything you could ever want is more expensive than ever, except for Bitcoin right now. For me personally, I'm going to continue at a moderate pace, building out my Bitcoin mining farm, trying to make the right moves, do everything sensibly, not just blindly throw money at it, but just continue pushing forward on that front. I think the good green days will return. Maybe a while, maybe years. When they do come back, though, I'll be here, and I hope you are too. So, thanks for watching.